President Trump is taking his economic message straight to the heartland today, kicking off a weekly travel blitz in Iowa, where the White House wants midterm voters focused on results, not rhetoric. Welcome to the Big Money Show, everyone. I'm Jackie DeAngelis, along with my co-hosts Taylor Riggs, David Asman, Brian Brenberg, and for the hour, we've got Fox Business senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino. Good to see you. The president is headlining an economic speech in Des Moines where he's going to make his case on energy and the economy. His argument is this: gas prices are down, growth accelerating, stocks are at records, and prices are stabilizing, with even more relief still on the way. Susie Wiles says Trump will campaign like he's on the ballot in 2026, making appearances every week until Election Day. The White House is treating the midterms like a referendum on its economic record. Still, voters say the middle-class lifestyle is slipping out of their reach, and it has been for quite some time. So can the president flip the script? Things are moving, Charlie, in the right direction. $2.60 per gallon, slightly lower than that, is the average price for gas in Iowa. Inflation has stabilized a bit. Hopefully it will go down a little bit more. Impacts of the big, beautiful bill still expected. So we're on the right track here, but it depends how voters feel about it. And that's what the president's trying to address.
You know, listen, some of this is psychological warfare, right? I mean, voters are bombarded, and you could see that in the reaction to what's going on in Minneapolis. They're bombarded with negative images, negative commentary about Donald Trump every day, including the economy. I thought the mainstream media was dead. You know, that's what our usual mantra is, that people don't pay attention to it, but they obviously do. So I think it's hard. I mean, you got to go at it with facts. Things are better. They're not great. We should point out that gas prices represent a part of inflation, not the whole part. There's other parts of that inflation matrix where prices are up,
right? Or
at least they haven't come down enough.
Housing's a huge problem.
Housing's a huge problem. Food. I mean, there's beef prices. I mean, you can go through the whole thing. So I think and again, and I sound like a broken record, but so call me out. Tariffs don't help. And even though he backed off them wickedly, they're still there. And so that adds to the price pressure. That's a tax. So I think he's going to have an uphill battle going against not just his own self-defeating tariffs, but also the mainstream media narrative, which will ignore all the other good stuff he's done. I mean, the big, beautiful budget has all sorts of great stuff in there. There are tax cuts. We have, what's the unemployment rate? 4%? I mean, that's like insanely low.
Yeah.
Inflation is at 2.7. Okay, that's not the worst it's ever been.
And look at growth.
Growth is good. Wage growth is kind of up there, depending on how you cut the numbers.
It's ticking up.
It's better. He never catches a break with the media. I'm astounded just by how much power the evening news has on this Minneapolis stuff. And it translates to everything, because this Minneapolis stuff, and I know this is not quite the topic, but I think it translates to the economy. It's literally a one-sided story of a murky situation, no matter which way. But I'm not saying that the guy deserved to die. He didn't, obviously. But that is insanity squared. Yet the mainstream media has one side of that story, that this guy is guilty, the cops are guilty, the Alex Preddy is not. He's completely harmless. And it's the same thing with the economy. They bombard every day. Oh, it's horrible. Inflation is up.
But it's young people that are going to believe that anyway.
Well, it's the thing about I don't buy with the mainstream media thing is it's young people driving these polls. But it's young people driving these polls who are saying things are so bad. They don't have hope for the future, right? They're not watching the mainstream evening news to get
Well, how do you know it's just young people?
Because I'm looking at the poll.
The poll just says it's skewed to young people?
It says half of voters under 45 describe themselves as generally worse off financially than their parents were at that age. I mean,
just so you know, 45 is not quite young.
Hey.
When I grew up, when I grew up, when you were 20, Charlie, you were old. You were an adult at 20.
Here's what I'm saying. Like, you went through the numbers, and I'm with you. Like, You got 5% growth, 4% unemployment, and 2.7% inflation. Yes, things aren't perfect. I get that.
People on Social Security love their lives.
No, they do. But tell me, give me an era where you'd quote those numbers and you'd say, you should feel bad about those numbers. Again, I'm not saying they're perfect. I know beef prices and food, I get all of that. I'm just saying these are good. You know
what era was? It was the last year of the Biden administration, where inflation was down to about 2.5%, or maybe lower.
Yeah.
Growth was up. Yes, it was. Yes,
Charlie,
it was.
Charlie,
the Democrats lost in 2020.
Yeah, no, that's my point.
That's my point. Can I just say one thing?
That's my point.
Susie Wiles.
They didn't feel good for a reason.
The problem
David.
with Susie, I agree with both of you to a certain extent, because the growth is just through the roof. We haven't seen growth numbers like this for a long time. However, there is in effect Susie Wiles' problem. She wants Trump to deal with the situation, the political situation, like it was 2024. In 2024, we were dealing with a senile president. Granted, the last couple of months were Kamala Harris, but who was running for re-election on the basis of a terrible economic program. And most Americans thought it was bad. That's why the Democrats lost. Because, let me
but
finish.
Those numbers,
Charlie, let me just finish here. So the point is that you have to have something else to offer the people. You can't just be against something because you've been in charge for a year. They have to come up with two big issues: are housing, because the housing situation, you need to make it easier for the people under 45 to buy a house, and then health care, which is through the roof, because Obamacare is an absolute abject failure. It is the opposite of affordable, which is what its official name was. So those two issues have to be clear before the election. The GOP has to put out something for both of those two issues.
And he's done more on the health care side than Obama did. All he did was let illegals come into the country and get on the roll.
Well, no, I agree with all that. I'm just saying that if you look at the economic numbers, they're not all that much different than Biden's last year, and Biden couldn't make.
No, he didn't.
They are. We did have good growth.
Okay, but
we had good growth.
We had over 5%.
We didn't have 3%.
Nowhere near 5%.
Well, we had 5% the last quarter. Biden had up and down too.
It's going to be up more than 5%.
Hopefully. And by the way, you got to have wage growth. That's significantly more than the price.
But you were not getting under Biden.
You're not getting really now.
Can I just say one last thing to finish the point I was trying to make? Okay,
Yes.
I'm just saying. I got on the subway the other day, and there was a sign on the subway, and it said, "Are you the victim of ageism?" And it wasn't directed toward old people. This was a New York City sign directed toward young people, trying to convince them they're the victim of ageism.
45 is not young.
Charlie, if you live in a world where your cities are telling you if you're young and not getting a job, you're the victim of ageism, I'm telling you, you're never going to be happy with any economy because you have bought into the victim mentality. And that was probably there under Biden. We could argue about that. But what I'm saying is there's something bigger than the numbers happening in our world, because institutions like universities and lots of leftists on social media tell you you're a victim out of the cradle.
Well, yeah, obviously the mantra from the cultural left does impact public opinion. And it's not just young people, by the way. There's a lot of people that feel this way, and I think they're wrong, and I can't stand it, and I think there's a lot that Trump should be proud of. He has made some mistakes, which added to his uphill climb on this. By the way, if you're Trump, be prepared. You're always going to have to fight against the media. You just have to have just have to have really good answers.
And I think he gets that. So to a certain extent, I agree with you also that it's an uphill climb, and the cards are stacked against him to a degree.
He just loves tariffs.
But Taylor, what is he going to hammer home to people in Iowa today, understanding his audience and how important that state is?
I think one thing we've learned about the data and consumer. Well, let me answer your question. I think you're right on gas prices. I think you're right on tax refunds. Morgan Stanley says tax refunds will be over $500 higher, coming in at $3,500 this year. Real disposable personal income would rise 4.1% this quarter on a seasonally, annually adjusted basis. That's after flat for the second half of last year. That's good. Refunds up 20% year over year. I could go on. The impact to GDP is a 40 basis point increase if you spend that real disposable income from that tax refund, right? So that's big picture number. Those are things that he can highlight and hammer home. There has been a change, though. Let's talk about the Conference Board Consumer Sentiment Survey. This number plunged, the lowest since July of 2014, I believe. And you could wonder why, when the data we're talking about looks so good. In the last 18 months, that has usually been correlated with the unemployment rate. That correlation has been totally broken down. Consumer sentiment is down because we're in the low hire, low fire, which in the last 18 months, it has been tracking that, the churn, your perception of your ability to get a job. So, Brian, we could talk about why that perception is there, if it's an advertisement, if it's companies that have reported that we're not hiring, but we're not firing. That impacts the ability, your perception of getting a job. That in the last 18 months has been tracking this consumer sentiment.
But look what they're buying.
That's why all of that is in the doldrums.
Look what consumers are buying. The durable goods number was through the roof.
Huge.
We were expecting
Can we talk
3%. It was up 5%. I mean, and when you buy durable goods, that means you have a positive view of the future. You don't put money out there. Maybe when you're answering a questionnaire of do you have confidence in the future, you say, no, I don't because I'm worried. But if you have confidence enough to put down money and buy a durable good, that's a very positive sign.
Well, and we've talked about watch what I do, not what I say. I would agree with that. And on those numbers, the capital investment portion of that was over 8%. And we talked about how that lags GDP growth. When you get high GDP growth, that capital investment then lags, and then hiring lags. And so all of this, unfortunately, is working at a lag. So I don't know, is it later this year? I don't know the timing, but it's the green shoots are in there. We're just not seeing it filtering through the way we feel.
They're saying he's going to campaign every single week. He's learned that he is the best person to deliver the message because other people have tried and they just don't quite hammer it home the same way that he does. So if he hits the campaign trail in this way, you know, a lot of times, whether he's on the ticket or not really makes a difference. If he's on the ticket, people are enthusiastic and energetic about it. And if he's not, then on the GOP side, they're not. So we'll see if this campaigning and hitting the road and messaging and being personal and one-on-one with people gets him where he needs to go.
Well, his approval ratings aren't so great right now.
Congress.
His approval ratings aren't sellable right now, let's say. A friend of mine is a car dealer, runs a car dealership in Vegas. He's selling cars like crazy right now. I mean, just off the charts, high-end cars. I mean, obviously, there's something in this economy that, you know, we're talking like sort of macro, 30,000 feet. You know, there are niches in this economy. And, you know, there are some people with jobs, they're doing very well. People in finance are doing well. But there is an undercurrent of people who aren't. And I don't think they're just young people, because if you're between 35 and 45, you ain't young. If you're listen, by the time I was 25,
Charlie's main point is you got to be 20 to be young.
Right. Okay.
I buried two parents before I was 27, so I was not young in my 20s. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Generally, you know, my father went into the Marines, almost saw combat. The war was over when he was just out of his teens. So I'm just saying that, you know, let's just put a lid on like what is young here. I mean, bottom line is,
I remember the phrase, if you're over 30, you're the enemy from the 60s.
Yes,
remember that?
That's right. Over 30.
I think it's
Don't
less
trust
about
anybody
age
over 30.
and more about these segments that you're talking
I agree.
about. And I think the president understands that there are pockets of people that are not feeling it the way others are, and that's
absolutely.
where the balance needs to be restored.
And he is, listen, hopefully he can deliver the message, because he is fighting against a mainstream media that shows just they don't care about being.
They're a campaign apparatus for the Democratic Party. They know that
really
the midterms
sick.
are coming up. They are working for the Democratic Party full time, and I'm surprised, like you are, the power that they still have to influence the voters.
It's just amazing to me. So he's going to have to employ everything. He's going to have to employ social media, influencers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
he's going out to campaign. That's what he said.
Unfortunately, the great
so
Charlie Kirk is not with us right now,
Right.
and that I think that hurts as well.
The president, though, does use TikTok. TikTok is here to stay. Speaking of stocks and other stories, Pinterest is one today.
This highlights and everything we're talking about, along with Nike. Nike's cutting almost 800 jobs because they want to automate. Pins, the ticker, Pinterest, cutting almost 15% of their workforce because they want to pivot to AI. They are saying that layoffs are designed to support the transformation initiatives that include priorities like AI-powered products. So I'm not saying that robots are coming for your job or AI is responsible for this, but where companies are finding efficiency, they are finding it, and it's due to AI.
Thoughts?
AI
Do you even
my
know what Pinterest is? Do you use it?
no, but try to AI my writing.
Thought
Impossible.
so.
Yeah, well, that's
It's so bad you can't copy it.
By the way, it ain't hurting NASDAQ. Look at what's happening at the bottom right of the screen right now.
Almost
NASDAQ is
a
up
1%
almost
gain.
a full percent today.
All right.
Stocks like playoffs.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you.
Sometimes they
So
do. That's
if you have
true.
a question for us, go over to our X page or our Instagram page and leave a comment there. Your questions will be aired on Friday in our Ask Us Anything segment.